is fixed.
Yeah, it's to the point that, like, even on these, when I look through for the small stuff up close, it's like super blurry.
New glasses. She just got new glasses,
How
but something
rude!
was wrong with them. Well, it was 8 o'clock. It automatically cut on. There was no, there was no 30-minute warning, so there's nobody in the chat. But whoever clicks on the video will hear this conversation before anyone actually joins the stream.
That's not nice.
I don't think anyone's here yet. Oh, we got Time Surfing Aileen, Cheryl, and Devastator. Guys, if it's still breaking up, I apologize. Steve and I did 4 test streams. Um, there were some improvements. Um, I did go back and listen to it. Steve said it sounded better on his phone, but I went back to a setting that when he said the one setting sounded better, I went back and watched the stream, and I was careful. I was like, okay, setting 156 what was it? 150. So 156, whatever that rate is in the wing. Let me double check what that actually says. Um, it's right now the system is set to 256 samples and safe mode is off. I did think that that was working the best. It's still not right. So I guess I guess I can start off by going. I called Sweetwater and I talked to one of their technical support guys, and he said, "Do you have anything that you can go out of the wing and see if you hear it there?" And I said, "Well, I don't hear the popping in my headphones." And he goes, "Okay, we need to see because evidently this can be from the main fader group or the subgroup or the main. It's supposedly coming out in the main, but I don't know enough about the system to really tell you if I'm 100% sure. The routing and the windows, I'm really struggling with understanding the windows and how you go from the first window of the mic input to the next, and how you actually build the routing, how the signal routes through the mixer, goes through everything, then goes out the back end. I'm just really can't get my squirrel brain around it. Anyway, he goes, well, we need to see what it's doing on the back end. And I said, well, I still have my amplifier and everything hooked to my Mackie. And he goes, well, do you have a DAW? And I'm like, no, not really. I said, I'm still old school. I'm still using a Tascam DP32. And then I remembered I had downloaded Reaper about a year ago, just trying to see what I could do with it, realizing that I couldn't do much because Reaper wants to see feeds from the computer. I guess technically I could have used the AG08 and tinkered around in Reaper. So he was like, well, get that. We went through to make sure the Hertz rate was right on the wing rack. The Hertz rate was set right in OBS and in the computer. So all three are set to 48 hertz or whatever. That's all right. All the sampling rates across the board are set to 256. Then my output file on the wing to USB is set 2 by 2. So he said, I did better than most. He actually said that. He goes, people that are going from the analog world to this, we get a lot of calls and they can't get anything out on the USB. So you are getting stuff out on the USB. The first thing he said, well, it's a driver issue. I'm like, well, I just downloaded the latest driver onto my computer, and I've also updated the firmware on the wing rack. And he goes, okay, that's done. He goes, well, bring Reaper up, try to record something in Reaper, and see if you hear it in your recording in Reaper. So that's what I did. It took me about 10 minutes to actually figure out how to record in Reaper because I've never actually used it. But I was able to record a track in Reaper and the popping noise is not there. But a crap ton of reverb. So basically, I got half a system working over here and half of the old rack system over here. I think what I need to do is just completely push the rack into the other room. That way there's nothing connected. I'm just going to have to hook the power amp up to the wing, get an output source that's working on the rig. First, get the computer to send its output file to the wing, and then have that output go to the amplifier to my control room monitors. Get that working. Right now it's not. I have to tell the computer to output to the video card, which in turn goes to the Mackie. I'm getting a really bad reverb effect in Reaper. So I started playing around with the settings. I'm like, okay, because I got subgroups. So where is the signal chain? Where am I getting the USB output feed of the WinRack? Is it from the individual channels, from the slider, or is it tapping from the subgroups, or is it tapping from the main? I can't really figure that out, to be honest with you. I don't know where it's getting that signal because I completely turned off the subgroups and OBS still sees the feed. The only thing that adjusts the output volume of the USB out to OBS is the individual sliders per channel. Changing the slider in the subgroup has no effect in OBS. So that's telling me, because my main outs are being driven by my subgroups. So that's telling me my USB feed has to be between my channels and my subgroup. I'm thinking. So that's just, we're just getting online, and I'm just going through what I'm finding. I said I would do this, and you guys can take it, with a grain of salt. I know that I'm an AutoCAD guy. Okay, that does not mean that I'm a computer guy. I know how to do AutoCAD, and I know how to write PLC programs and CNC programs. There's a big difference between being a computer user and using Autodesk to do computer-aided drafting and writing numerated control programs for machines. When it comes to drivers and updating drivers and what software can talk to this software and getting this to work with that, believe me, I'm not a computer person anymore. I think at one time I used to build computers, and I got out of doing computers right when Windows started self-detecting everything, because then anyone could build a computer. When I built computers, you would put your hard drive in, and you had to literally change the jumpers on the back of your SCSI hard drives, or it wouldn't see them. I remember firing up Windows 98, and the first screen that come up, it said there was no CD-ROMs connected to the computer, no hard drives connected to the computer. There was nothing connected to the computer, but yet it was running, because Windows wanted to find it and then load it. After Windows 98, they dropped all the stuff that I was used to, because I guess I learned in Fortran, and then we went to, I forget what was after Fortran that the SCSI was based on. But once Windows started auto-loading stuff, I kind of got out of building computers and just started doing a professional life. So when it comes to computers, I'm not that savvy at it. I'm really not. So the Sweetwater guy did tell me to try Reaper, and I was successful in recording 3 audio tracks in Reaper without popping. So that's making me think, because Reaper's on my computer. So the USB driver from the Wing to my computer must be okay, because I'm not getting the popping noise in Reaper on playback. I'm only getting this weird audio problem in OBS. Again, I can't check my output, my main outs, because I do not have it run to the power amp, to my control room monitors. The only thing I can, excuse me, the only thing I can hear is what I hear in my headphones. I guess I'm just saying all this, guys, because I want you guys, we're all about the same level. I really do. You know, we all depend on one another to give input. Like Steve will ask me what I think of this bridge, and I'll ask Steve. Okay, he seems to be a lot more computer literate than me, just like Kurt. Kurt has got this massive studio outside of his house with just stuff on both sides of the walls. It's like the whole place is packed in, and he's got enough room in his studio just to sit there with a guitar in front of him. It looks like, when I watched him on Discord, it looked like if he turned, he would hit equipment over here and hit equipment. I don't have that much stuff. And he's got all that stuff rooted and connected. It looks like a maze. I would get lost in that room. And his thought was, from what I read on Discord, was 3.0 or higher USB terminals. Well, I did ask the Sweetwater rep about that, and he said that he is unaware of anyone calling in that has connected the Wing rack to a 3.0 USB that has had problems. I don't have 3.1, 3.2 on my system. So I think 3.0 is rated at like 3 gigahertz or 3 GH something. Or maybe it's 5. 3.1 can max out at 10. And then there's one above that. It's called a Red Jacket or something that's capable of 20. He said that he didn't feel that would be a problem.
Read Steve's
Which
at the bottom.
at the very bottom. Avery, maybe try going live without OBS and only use the YouTube studio. I could probably try that. I haven't used, I don't think I've actually ever used YouTube Studio, to be honest with you. If you go back and watch the first, I mean, this channel, we don't hide anything here, guys. That's why we do like live reviews. Where if I make a mistake or say the radius is wrong, you guys call me out. Well, the website said it's this, and then I'll look. Okay, I misread the gauge. It's just like that, just like this. I think this is good information for anyone that is going from the type of system and equipment that I had to the new stuff. This will kind of get you prepared for what you might run into. So this is what I'm running into. I'm sure I'll figure it out. Hey, Matt Hatter. I'm sure I will figure it out. You know, when I see the orange, the reason, guys, I saw Mad Hatter's comment, he put at music and gear, and on my screen, it comes up bright orange. So that might be a good way if you guys have questions. Like, as soon as I saw that orange, I knew it was directed at me directly. So it's not like, oh, Avery only calls out Mad Hatter. He seems to be the only one that does the at, and every time he does that, my little squirrel eyes go poof, and I see his comment. So that might be, you know, I used to always tell people put question marks, but it seems like that at with the bright orange really catches my attention. So this is just letting you guys know what you might run into if you go down this path. Like I said, it doesn't seem to be a problem with the USB out of the wing to Reaper. But I'm not saying that it worked right because Steve and I cut off all the effects. Well, I didn't have any effects on this channel anyway, as far as reverbs and delays, but I did have a gate and a compressor on. We turned all that off on every channel. When I recorded in Reaper, there was a ton. When I say a ton, there was just a ton of reverb. There's no reverb. So, but there was no popping. So we still have a problem in Reaper. It's just a different problem. So it's I would play the guitar for you guys, but the guitar is even worse than the actual just talking into the microphone. So no guitar tonight. I apologize. We're not going to stream too long, guys. I just wanted to get on. YouTube is a monster. If you get into a series, like we always do a Thursday stream, we always do a Saturday stream. If you go out of your box and you do something different, YouTube penalizes you. It's sad that YouTube is like that. That's why I think when you turn on YouTube and you see a lot of these content creators and you click on them, it's like, okay, I just wasted 15 minutes of my life. I think they do some of these videos because they know if they don't, YouTube is really not going to do anything with their next video because they missed putting out X for that week. So I did that tonight. The only thing I really have to share is the progress on the wing. I do want to get this up and working, guys. So going back to what I said, if you go back and watch the channel's very first stream, it was a train wreck. The picture was fuzzy. The mics were overgained. Nothing worked when I pushed a button. And then each week, if you go back and watch the very first streams, I promised that I would get it a little better each stream. And I think it took about 2 months before I really got used to the AG08, started dialing in some settings, and then it was about 4 months in when I stopped miking the amplifier and we went with modelers. And that really, I hate to say it, took it to another level because it took the mics out of the room and allowed me to play guitar with no noise in the room, and these microphones wasn't picking up guitar. I think that helped out a lot. But right now, even the guitar signal is clipping and carrying on. So it may take some time, but this is something I need to do. Once I get this figured out, we're going to move on to cameras. And what got me is we also made another change because if you guys remember a couple weeks ago, we were having a lot of lagging problems. So a lot happens behind the scenes. It seems like this channel doesn't make much money. The only money it gets is super chats. But we've been averaging $150 to about $200 a month. I know you guys are like, well, holy crap, he's giving away more guitars than that. Between guitars and pedals, it's pretty close since we started doing it. But we did invest in a better internet connection. So hopefully you guys have seen a difference. We've only done one stream without the wing with the better connection. There's been no lag. So I think the new connection, I don't ever see the little circle on my screen saying there's lag. So I think that has helped. But at the same token, it has knocked out one of my cameras because the camera connected to the network. So since we switched to internet providers and I'm no longer using Xfinity, I can't seem to get the other camera to work now. I loaded the app on my phone because another reason why not to buy Mevos, they're designed to work through your phone or a tablet. They don't like connecting wirelessly multiple Mevos to your computer. So I tried hooking my phone up, so I had to change my phone over to the new service, and I can't get the Mevo to connect. So the Mevo that you guys are seeing right now is hardwired, and Mevos do not like to be hardwired. You can only have one Mevo hardwired to the system. And I don't understand that, because each Mevo has a serial number on the back, and the computer sees them as independent cameras. But as soon as you plug in another one, it sees it, but you can't connect to it. It's almost like it's busy. And then when you go to the website, it says you can only have one wired Mevo. The other two have to connect wirelessly. But what they don't tell you, you can't connect two wireless Mevos to the computer. You can only connect one. Well, you bought a 3-pack. Right. The Mevos will only work through the app on your phone. And then your phone connects to the computer, or OBS. And if you remember, a couple weeks ago, we did a stream where I had 3 cameras. One was the overhead, and the picture lagged. And that was because the Mevos had to connect to the phone, which connected to the network, which connected to the computer, then went out to YouTube, and it was just a train wreck. And I said I would never try that again. So once we get this figured out, I do want to buy one decent camera, and then the one wired Mevo will be the backup camera for here, and then we'll do the other wireless Mevo for like an overhead. But that's going to be a little while. That's going to be a little while. We're taking baby steps. And I'm in a catch-22. We've talked about this before too. Should I have built a new computer before the wing rack? The only thing the new computer would help me with is doing editing on videos. And I was really struggling with the AG08 because I got so many source inputs. I wanted to use my Akai, which we really haven't been able to use on the stream. And I just figured with all the equipment here, I needed more inputs. It's time to start using some of this stuff that you see behind me, and we can actually use it, plug it in, you guys can hear it. Before, I had to unplug everything and plug. I don't have to do that now. I have a lot of channels that I can plug stuff into. I'm not going to run out of channels. So I just got to figure out how to get this working, and then we'll start doing some other updates. Yep. See, again, my eye went right to the screen because I saw the orange. Really enjoy your live streams, which is why I come back consistently. Yeah, man, dude, I think we got a really good community here. Everyone, it's funny. Today at work, I work with a fella, and I love the guy to death. I really do. And some days we joke around, but I have to be a boss. And today I must have said something or did something differently, because he come in and he was just, I guess, upset with me and kept saying, oh, you're kind of two-faced. You act like this when your boss is around and you're telling me what to do, and then when he leaves you want to joke around. And I didn't even see it that way. And that's how I kind of see the chat. I get it. Not everybody gets along with everybody. Sometimes we have a bad day and we come in and that person may have the big potato chip on their shoulders. If I'm ever like that, guys, it just means maybe I had a bad day at work. And if anyone in the chat is acting a little off, let's just keep in mind how that person is in general, because we don't know what's going on. Everyone knows right now the economy's rough. Everyone like me, I work hard. I like music, and music is an expensive hobby. We just have to be adults and go, okay, I got to do this. I got to put food on the table. But we're musicians, and sometimes we're like, yeah, I can get that, and I'll drink water for the next week instead of getting that extra, energy drink, or I won't get McDonald's for a couple days so I can go to the music store and get some strings for my guitar. Sometimes that stress can get to us, and then we come in and we're a little combative or this or that. I get it, guys. We need to be a community that helps one another. But if someone says something, I don't think anyone here is going to come right out and be mean to anybody. If you take something wrong, just say, hey man, I kind of took that this way or this way. Just try to be nice to one another. And that's what I try to do. That's why today it kind of caught me off guard. And now tomorrow I have to go to work and I guess be more boss focused, if that makes sense. And I'm not the, I'm the kind of person that when I go in, if a project needs to be done and there's X people there, I don't want to babysit the person. I'm not a babysitter. I, my kids are gone, you know. I don't have any babies here. We're all adults. Even the little one back here. I still call her a little one, but she's far from a little one. She's an adult. When I come in, it's teamwork. That's how I see the chat. You know, if everyone has a job and whoever the leader is, if that's Steve, you know, Devastator, Jerry, Mike comes in, whoever, if they pick up the ball and now they're the team leader and they say, okay, guys, we got to get this done. You work on this, you work on this, you work on that. That person has things they have to do too. So the last thing they really need to do is to go back and have to babysit those people. But now after today, I kind of feel like I'm going to have to step back from my job responsibilities, which is actually working with these digits, and be more of a foreman, and then also have my other role. So today was a rough day, and then when I come in, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna tackle this wing rack. You know, Steve and I said, oh, you know, even Kirk, oh, it's a driver issue, no problem. So I'm thinking at work, I'm gonna get home, gonna fix the wing rack, everything's gonna be great. You know, all the stars are aligned. So before I even got a hold of Steve, I got right on the computer. I downloaded the new USB thing, got it on the computer, and Steve goes, oh, well, you didn't restart your computer. That's what it is. So we restarted the computer to make sure all the settings were right. Still wasn't right. So then we started changing the rate, you know, 256, 500, 128. That didn't help. Then we checked the hertz, like I said. That didn't help. And then, of course, he was like, well, you know, I don't really need to go and make dinner. I'm like, I get it, man. So he goes off, and he's making dinner, I guess. I told him, go make dinner. And as soon as I hung up the Discord conversation with Steve, I said, well, I'm going to call Sweetwater. That was one of the things they told me. Buy this thing. We've got good customer support. So I'm on hold. I'm not going to lie, guys. That's the first time I've called tech support at Sweetwater. And I felt like I was on hold with my cell phone carrier. We're experiencing extra high volumes of calls. And I think I started out at position 20. There was 20 people ahead of me. And it probably took an hour for me to actually get to speak to somebody. And he seemed nice, but we were in the conversation less than 4 minutes, and he made a comment, well, I'm getting ready to clock out. Okay. I get it, man. You've been there 8 hours. If you're getting ready to clock out in 5 minutes, then you should have just sat in your cubicle and not picked up this next call. So I felt kind of pushed, but he did stay on the phone and he told me about the Reaper, and so that's been my day. I see another one, Mad Hatter. What's the weather like? Right now, dude, we're not getting anything.
It's 36 degrees right now.
Yeah, I have nothing. I can't. What's that, hon?
I said it's 36 degrees right
Yeah, it's 36 degrees. So our system's completely down. Like Linnell just had to yell into the room. I don't even know why I have these on, because the only thing I hear is me in the headphones. It's not like I need to hear the guitar because we're not going to be playing guitar. So yeah, everything that I had worked on over the last year is no longer working. But I think I learned something. I think we always learn when we buy new equipment, especially equipment we're not necessarily comfortable with. And I know if Kurt is in the background listening, I know I had spoke to Kurt several times.
Okay, Billy says no update needed for your software. My wife said that could be an issue. She's watching with me. And Kurt said, I guarantee it's your computer, not the wing.
It could be, Kurt. I don't know if you were in earlier. I said the Sweetwater guy told me to open up Reaper and do some recording in Reaper. And I did that. I got Reaper up and running, and I recorded two or three tracks in Reaper. None of the tracks in Reaper have the popping noise. So, but I did have a problem. All the tracks in Reaper have reverb. So I'm not a Reaper person, if that makes sense. I've never really used it. And it has plugins. So I'm not too sure if there's a plugin engaged in Reaper or not, but the popping is not there. So that's making me think. When I first did that, I said, okay, it's gotta be in OBS. So I went through the settings in OBS again, making sure that the sample rate and everything is set the same. Then I said, okay, well, my return feed is going back to the wing, and it shouldn't be. It needs to go back to the computer and then out to my old board. So I changed that, thinking, well, that might be what's causing the loop that we had the other night. And that's as far as I got tonight. But the Sweetwater guy, Kurt, told me, I asked him about the 3.0 USB, and he said that he hasn't had or heard anyone having problems with the wing rack connected to 3.0.
Kurt also said that he had uploaded a music video to YouTube, and he was using a 2.2 USB hub, I think, and it had the cracking and popping just like you're having, but he didn't know it until after he uploaded it.
Oh. Linnell come in and said you were using 2.2 or something when you uploaded the music. But I made a point to ask the Sweetwater guy about that, and he seems to think 3.0 would be fine. I did get on Amazon. There's a couple of reputable companies that I recognize. For about $80, I can buy a really nice USB-C, which is 10 gigabyte per port, 4 individual processors per port. It was like $78 for that one. I also have to think, I got a lot of USB stuff here, so it would be nice to have one like that with a higher rate, one for the wing rack, and then some of the other stuff that I'll be adding soon. And then my other USB ports can be able to run like my Stream Deck push button thing. Because remember, guys, when I was using that, it was disconnecting because I didn't have enough USB power.
Billy said, could be your speed. His wife said update most likely.
Yeah. I don't know. It could be all those things, guys. It could, it also could. But keep in mind, guys, the Yamaha worked. And as of right now, I'm not taxing the computer I'm taxing it less because we're just using a microphone. So didn't have any issues with the Yamaha in the USB going to the computer. So I don't think it's necessarily a processing power. I don't think it's the USB, because I'm not transmitting that much data, because we had 3 open mics, a guitar, and keys going all at the same time and didn't really have the issue. So I'm thinking it's probably, again, a driver problem. And it's funny, before the stream, I went into my hardware utility in my computer, and it doesn't let you, I forget the window. I'd never seen the driver update be you can't click on it. So I'm not too sure what that means. But when I download the latest USB audio driver, you have to click it and it says finalize installation. When you click at it, it says, installation complete. So I know that driver's there because I went to that window, looked at the number, and then cross-referenced it on the web page. That driver is installed on the computer. So that is the latest driver, and I have the latest firmware on the wing rack.
Mini Guitar Society said, is it digitally peaking or short in the cable?
Is it what?
Digitally peaking or a short in the cable?
I don't think it's a short in the cable because I switched cables. Um, well, I didn't actually. I take that back. I didn't switch cables. I was thinking I was plugged into a lesser quality USB jack, and the Yamaha AG08 cable that was plugged into the back of the computer. When I unplugged the Yamaha, it uses USB-C port on the back, which is the same as my Stream Deck. So I plugged that cable into my Stream Deck. So I was thinking I had plugged into the wrong USB on the back of the computer. So I took the Stream Deck cable out and then plugged the wing rack into that port and then the other. But when I was back there, all four ports are blue inside.
Nicholas said I would contact spray the connection to PC.
Nicholas. I can't hear you. She's in the other room.
Nicholas said he would contact spray the connection to the PC.
Frey?
Contact spray.
Contact play.
Spray.
I still can't understand you.
Spray
Spray.
the connection to the PC.
Okay, like contact spray, like a cleaner. Okay. I played guitar for so many years, I'm deaf in this ear, and that's the direction she's on. So what you guys didn't hear earlier when she had her mic in there, I had it really turned up in this ear so I could hear her. Yeah, so that's where we're at right now, guys. Maybe I'm going to work on it tomorrow night. I do know that the Reaper does work now, and it's not that conductivity. I guess I'll call him back, and I don't mind spending, if I buy the new PCIe card, the one I was looking at is a 4-port, and it uses USB-C on the back, so I would have to buy USB-C to printer port because the wing's using a printer port connection for USB on the back. I don't have one of those cables, so I'd have to order one of those cables and the card. It would be like $85 for both of them. I don't mind spending the money because I got to update the computer anyway, and that seems to be the latest and greatest one. So I could always put it in the new computer anyway.
Steve said he has another thought. Get a hold of him after the stream.
Okay. Yeah, any help at all, Steve, man. You guys, like I said, you guys are great. I think I've said it a couple of times actually. If you would have said something to me a year ago about people coming on and just wanting to talk and talk music, I mean, that's what we used to do. The band, we rented a movie house in Strasburg, Virginia, and it had the seating that went up like this, and 3 bands rented it for the month. And we would just let people in, and they'd sit, and it was just a madhouse. But it was so much fun because other musicians would come in. We would talk cabinets, we would talk mixers, we would talk guitars, we would talk all kinds of stuff. And nowadays, we don't really have that. When you go to the music store, they're disappearing. I think you're talking about coffee shops. I think if someone had a local music store and they would kind of just take a corner of the store, do a little addition, and have a seating area a little bit of food. I'm not talking about deli stuff. Have some coffee, have, maybe some snacks that you can get, and have like a little meeting area. I guarantee you that would be awesome. I don't know if it would make them a lot of revenue, but it would definitely bring people into the store to talk. And while they're in there talking gear, they're going to be walking through the store looking at gear and wanting to buy stuff.
Searching for Tone said, take a hammer to it, that'll fix it. It's an old trick.
Yeah, Searching for Tone must have looked at Zach's post on Discord where the guys, I think it's a golf club, isn't it?
No, he's just throwing stuff.
It looked like he had a golf club beating the piss out of his laptop and everything else because it wasn't working. I'm not to that point. I mean, I know what I bought is good. It's not like I bought something that just come out. Because I don't know if you guys, I wasn't much on the Line 6 stuff. I got an HX Stomp, and I never bought the Helix rack. I thought about it, and I just never did. I was like, okay, I'm going to get an Axe Effects. Well, the new stadium, there's a lot of reports that the new stadium's cutting out. There's like a feedback thing. It'll start, and you have to shut it down. It'll start humming and buzzing, and it doesn't do it all the time. People say it might work great for 2 or 3 weeks. They go out live, and all of a sudden it just starts squealing and doing all this weird stuff. It's a brand new product. There's going to be bugs in it. This wing rack, it's not new. The rack unit has been out for a little more than a year, and the wing consoles have been out for about 2.5 years. So they have most of the bugs, I'm assuming, out, and with the firmware updates and some of the things they forgot, okay, they've made those changes by people buying the units and saying, hey, I'm coming from the X32, I could do this, I just upgraded, and now you're telling me this thing won't do what my cheaper board would do? I heard that a lot when the first wing consoles come out. It did a lot of things better, but they took away some things that people really liked on the X32. They have since made a lot of changes and updated, and the firmware updates. So I don't think it's a wing issue like Kurt was saying. It's not, like I said, it's not a brand new product where they're still working the bugs out of it. I'm sure there's still bugs, but I can't be the first person that it's bought something like this that's going to use it for streaming too. Like I said, I could only find one video that was dedicated to that, and the gentleman, I guess, was in Japan or an Asian country, and his English was really broken, and he was trying to explain the problems that he was having getting it onto OBS and then to stream. My issue was I was having a really hard time understanding him, but watching that video did allow me to get the left and right channel to OBS. So I did not have that set right. Again, YouTube proves again, there is just so much freaking information on YouTube. I'm not saying it's all good information, but there's a ton of information on YouTube. I think back 30 years ago, if you wanted to know how to do something, you had to buy, if you were working on cars, you had to buy a Haynes manual. Now, type in, I want to replace an alternator on a blah, 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 and there it is. You can pretty much find it on YouTube. I'm not saying every video is going to be spot on, great information, but you can watch quite a bit of content on YouTube. You can get a pretty good handling on things, even stuff that you're new at. You watch enough videos, you'll go, okay, I see what he's doing. I'm going to take this information that I got from these videos, and I'm going to try it. When I did a search for this, 3 videos come up, and the first 2 were completely useless. They weren't doing it the way. I only found 1 video with any information that would actually help me in how I'm using it. So that's fine. I think once I get it figured out, since I did a search, because that's why this channel was started, as I was looking for guitar reviews. And the only thing I was getting on YouTube was, some dude smiling, holding this budget guitar saying, it's great, it's better than a Fender and better than a Gibson. That's all I heard. And I get one and I find out, okay, this thing is nowhere near a Fender or a Gibson. This thing's a pretty rough guitar. And then I realized, okay, I need to make content to offset these channels. And that brings me to something else. If you think that's not true, we just got an email today from Temu. Temu reaching out to me. It is so funny to read what these companies say on wanting to push their products. I have not read every line, but it's quite comical. So if you guys see me post a video up of something coming from Temu, it's because they have reached out to me. And you guys know how I feel about stuff like this. If there's anything on there at all saying that they have the right to the video, or they could use it anywhere else, or they can post it anywhere else or use it without my consent, that's a zero. That's a zero. And you also know all that stuff's made in China. So if I do a review on, let's say I get a Temu guitar. If I get a Temu guitar and I review it, there's the caveat right there. Is it going to be the same production run you guys get? That's the whole problem with all this Chinese import stuff. You might get a good one. You will. I've reviewed some Birdman's West Creek guitar. That thing was a nice guitar. That Les Paul. If you guys did not see that video, Birdman set in a West Creek Les Paul. I thought that guitar sounded pretty good. It played really nice, and it looked nice. I think he said he paid like $180 for it, $190. That was a kick-butt guitar for that money. That, in my opinion, if I had that and the Firefly Les Pauls that I had reviewed in the past, that West Creek was the better guitar. I think the fit and finish was just as good or better as the Firefly. I know the pickups were better, and I think out of the box it was set up better than the Firefly. What are you going to get? See, that's the issue. It's Amazon. In 6 months from now, is that production run still going to be there? Or are they going to get new ones in? And then I did a review for Birdman, and a year later someone watches that video, and it's not the same guitar, but the same model number. Oh, you said this thing was good. That's the issue with these Chinese companies. You don't know who the heck's building it. It goes to the cheapest bidder because these are no-name guitar brands.
Nicholas said at break, spray your PC connections, make him happy because it's his birthday.
I have some contact cleaner. I have some Desiccant or whatever that stuff is, but it's downstairs in my guitar shop. I promise I will do it tomorrow. I have to work. Well, actually, we're supposed to get snowed in, so I'm probably going to have plenty of time to talk to tech support and reroute everything. I got a bunch of cables to run. If you guys really need to look at the cables behind my desk. If you saw what I had to move to even get to the back of the computer to get in there and spray something, you would go, okay, yeah, I get it. You don't have to do that. Imagine making a big pot of spaghetti and throwing it out over your living room floor. That's what it looks like behind my desk. Oh,
Nicholas.
It's Nicholas's birthday? Okay, someone else just said they were having a birthday. Well, happy birthday, Nicholas. I had a birthday on the 19th too, and who else just had a birthday?
I forget. Someone's wife had a birthday the same day as yours.
Yeah, there's been a couple people. We must be all January people.
Not me.
Linnell just said not her. I know, Nicholas, it was you, me. I know there was someone else, and then someone else's that watches the wife. That was her birthday. And of course, I know my brother's wife, Sam. Her birthday is the exact same day as mine. So, but I'm thinking there's 4 people around the channel that's had a birthday in the last 5 days. So, a lot of birthday days. Oh, listen to this. Brian goes, I have a birthday every year. That's almost as bad as Vox coming in saying, "Did I miss intermission?" Vox is funny.
All right, Mad Hatter had bought a Timu Ibanez RG copy.
Oh, Mad Hatter bought Mad Hatter, what did you think of your Timu guitar? First-hand experience reaching out to Mad Hatter. Please tell the group, was it a piece of junk? Was it decent? Okay, this is what I need. How much did you pay for it, and what was your thoughts? Because we've ordered stuff off Temu, but I've never ordered any guitar products. If you guys say it's not worth messing with the Temu stuff, or I thought they had some Temu pedals. Maybe we could look at some cheap Temu pedals. It's kind of up to you guys. They have reached out. I'm not big on that stuff. I don't want to. I don't want to get in a position to where I feel it won't happen to me because I'm not putting myself in that position. I don't want the channel to become a link for Temu to make money for crap products. Like I just said earlier, we work too hard to waste our money on crap products. But at the same token, that's kind of what the channel was started for. But I don't see too many people doing Temu stuff. So it's not like I turn on YouTube and I see this guy holding up a Temu. Temu, it's better than a Fender, or it's better than a TC Electronics or something.
There's a few people here in the chat that order stuff from Timu.
Okay. Did anyone give you a comment on whether it was good, bad, or indifferent?
Well, no, but Mad Hatter, I don't see anything about him.
Yeah, I asked Mad Hatter, please put in here. Okay, here it is. I paid $100 for it, and it was amazing for the price point, and it didn't necessarily need anything done to it, but I wanted to modify it. Thank you, Mad Hatter. Thank you, Malachi. That's cool. Okay, I mean, we got one guy that had any issues with Temu, they refunded it. So Backwoods Billy says any issues, they're doing a refund. B stock, 5 guitars returned, 4, the 5th one refunded, pedals refunded, 2 for not working.
Steve said Timu mini pedals are junk. I have a few I can send you, Avery.
All right, well, Steve says the mini pedals are junk. All right, well, I think maybe I should look at the fine print on what they sent me. And the email says it's free crap. So if I don't have to pay for it, and I don't have to sell my firstborn son and mention Temu over the next year, I don't mind. But there's always a caveat, guys. You always got a line that you have to say or something they want you to do. I'm not going to sell my soul for a Temu pedal or a Temu guitar. At that point, if we want to do, I'll spend the $100 and I'll order a Temu guitar. That's my point. People go, well, he's a content creator. You get all this free stuff. If Firefly sends me a guitar, I'm still working for free. Because it's going to take me 3 or 4 hours to shoot the content. And then if I do a recorded review, we're looking at least 8 to 16 hours of edit time for one of my. It's actually closer to 30 hours if I actually put up the switches and all the product information. So I'm going to work 40 hours. Okay, we'll just say 30 hours. We'll be nice. I'm going to work 30 hours for a $250 to $325 guitar. So you tell me that's free? That's that's just not free. That's working your tail. You're making like $1 an hour. Yeah, Matt, I think I do. You got to draw a line in the sand, like he's saying. You do. Um, but I think I'm pretty honest. I think you guys, several people, like Kurt's called me out on it a couple times. That's why I love Kurt. Kurt will say, he'll just type in the chat, oh, come on, just say it. It's a piece of, you know, and I'll look at the comment or Linnell will come in and say, Kurt says just call it what it is. And then the little light bulb goes off. Yep, Kurt's right. This thing is just, um, so you guys keep me in check, but you know that by my facial expressions, and you can also hear it in the way I play. Um, you can tell if the person is engaging into a product as much. And I think I said this to this one guitar. I think I reviewed. It was like a Telecaster or something. It's not my sound, you know. And I told him that. I said it sounds like a Telecaster. I said it plays nice, but it's not my speed. Um, but if I get into a guitar, you can tell. And there's a lot of things it has to feel right, and it's got to sound right. And sometimes that's not the guitar's fault. If you go back and you watch the last stream, I said the distorted guitar going into the ring rack sounds like poo. For whatever reason, it's just pooey. But the clean, when I switched the Yamaha over to a clean, man, what I hear in my headphones just sounds so open and airy. It's beautiful sounding. If I could get that sound and tonal quality to you guys on YouTube, it's night and day difference on the clean. But the distorted signals, it's something that I'm doing wrong in the new system. I guess I gotta get used to the Midas preamps, I guess, that are in the console. The distorted tones are just awful. Um, they sound like katanas and catalysts. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with a katana. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with a catalyst. They're they're cheaper amps, and they do a lot for that price point. What I'm saying is this little Yamaha really, it still had that digital kind of sound to it, but it wasn't bad. It really reminded me a lot of my rack with just a little bit of that digital artifact scratchiness to it. And I could live with it because it was so user friendly. Now, it sounds just like a katana. And I could be wrong. Maybe when we get this up and going, you guys are going to hear, I don't hear a difference. Maybe it's the difference that I'm hearing in my headphones versus the analog. And I'm hearing it different, and it's making me play different, and it's more engaging. A lot of that has to do with the reviews as well. How the product feels in your hand, how it reacts, all these things really make a difference in the review. And I try to convey that. That's why we were talking about the wing rack. Uh, I knew when I bought it that I was going to be struggling with some of the things. I knew that. So that's fine. I take it as I'm going to learn, and hopefully I will become a little better. Um, I know that my EQ settings and running gates and shelving EQs and low pass cutoffs, I am going to be far, far better with this than I ever was with the Mackie. Why? Well, I got a spectrum analyzer above my Mackie, and I use that for general sources out on the main. I would have loved to have something like that on every channel. Something when I would sweep the mid that I could see where it is in the frequency band and cut it. Guess what? The wing rack does that on every freaking channel. I can set my EQ, a 4-point EQ up. Okay, I can change the slope, whether it's pointy and isolated frequency, or I can drag it out like a mid. I could do a low cut, a high cut, or a shelving EQ. Okay? And I can move the band pass all the way across the spectrum. I can peak it out, narrow the band, and I can move it across the spectrum. And when I hear that, ooh, that sounds awful frequency I don't like, there it is. Widen it out a little bit and cut. You had to do that by ear in the center of a mix before. Unless you were rich and you could do an insert out to a spectrum analyzer for every channel. You did it by ear. Just that alone, being able to see the spectrum analyzer and your audio source going in, you can see every little peak. It's 31 bands. I can isolate that and cut it. There's so much information, like when you've got an open mic and your vocalist is singing, you can do a low pass filter. You can cut that. All it's going to be doing is picking up noise. It's picking up the kick drum, picking up the remnants of the bass on the stage. The vocals aren't down there. Why have it? That's just more crud going out to your mix. More noise. So you cut it. Same with your high pass. You can move your high pass all the way out and then cut your highs. You do the exact same thing on a guitar. All these guitar players. Oh, listen to the low on that. You know what the first thing that guy does behind the board? Low cut. That's the first thing that dude does. Because he doesn't want that signal going to the subs or anything low. You got this little spot, that's where you need to be. Les Pauls have that real deep rumble, nice full sound, especially on like a 412 cabinet. And everyone's like, man, listen to that deep full sound of my Les Paul. First thing the sound guy does, low cut, whack. He cuts all that right off your guitar signal. It's just noise. It's noise in the mix. So with the analyzer in this, I can see where I'm going to be far better. I wish, I'm grasping that, if that makes sense. I wish I could grasp the routing on how the signal goes through the way I'm grasping the shelving EQs, the parametric EQs, the spectrum analyzer, the stuff that's in it. I get it. I get that part. I'm just not understanding the routing and all the other stuff. But I'm going to get it. Okay, guys. I'm going to take a couple minute break. We're at the 1 hour mark. I said I wasn't going to stream too long tonight, which we're not, but I definitely wanted to come on. So it is time for, if you have to hit the restroom, get something to drink, get a snack, and when we come back, we're going to talk more wing rack and problems. Problems with changing equipment. And I'm going to qualify that. Maybe it's not problems. It's learning how to make new stuff, your new equipment, play well with stuff that you already have. You know, that's how it is. And I've always crowed that. I've got a lot of old equipment. And I've already said that this wing rack will do a lot. I still want to use my Digitech stuff and my Alesis Mini Verb and stuff. I see this as the opportunity. Now I can use this stuff to do other cool stuff with maybe my rack, kooky stuff that I never could do before because it was tied up in other resources or other post-processing type stuff. So I don't know. I don't see where I'm going to need my mic preamps anymore. I see no purpose whatsoever for any of my tube mic preamps, any of my limiters, or any of my gates or my channel strips. I hate to say it, but there's probably 8 units in my rack that just became paperweights. Okay, guys, let's take a little break, and when we come back, we'll chat some more. If you have any questions, please put them up during the break, and when we come back, we'll answer questions. I really want to start doing that, guys. And even if it's a comment that you guys really want to get across on the stream, put that comment with question marks, and I'll make sure I'll bring your comment out forward, if that makes sense. I really want to do that. I don't see anyone doing that part. and I want to do things different. Okay, guys, let's take our 5 minute break. That is still working because that's in Discord. Hey, all right, intermission time, guys. Go get something to drink. Hit the restroom. All right. This year, um, I want to I want to set some goals for myself this year. Um, just so everybody go back in the past, when I recorded, I started out with a Tascam TRS 8, which was a reel-to-reel 8-track machine. Um, I then bought a Korg M1, which had 16 tracks with a sequencer, and that allowed me to do a little more. And then I bought two Blackface Alesis ADAT units. And as soon as I bought the second Blackface ADAT unit, they come out with the XT models, which were a lot better than the Blackface ones. But that was okay because that gave me 16 tracks there, and then I had my analog um, 8-track, and that's originally where these two silver pieces. That's why they were bought. The digital recording was very harsh, so I bought these inline tube amps, these line tube amps, to warm up the ADAT signal going to the master decks. Both of these were stereo. So I would do the master mix and the ADAT out and send, and then that signal was processed by each ADAT, each one of those. I did update a little bit. I got a DP32. Again, that's still kind of old school because it's a conventional mixing board recording onto SD cards. Now, with the wing rack, I really want to get Reaper, stuff like that. I want to start recording. I really do. I miss sitting down with the guitar, writing bass lines. Believe it or not, guys, I do play bass, even though I've never played bass on the stream. Am I a good bass player? I'll put it to you this way. I played bass in 3 bands, and I did it because I wanted to play. The other 2 guitar players were just superior guitar players versus what I could do. So I played bass. I wanted to play with these fellas, so I played bass. I enjoyed the bass. The most fun I ever had in a band is I played 1 full set on guitar, probably 2 full sets on the guitar, and the 3rd set I switched between drums and bass. That band was really unique. Every member of the band played other instruments. The drummer played bass. He also sung. The other guitar player played keys, bass, drums, and sung. Our singer played bass primarily. And our lead guitar player, now that I think about it, he only played lead guitar. But that was a very versatile band, and I enjoyed that. And I enjoy writing and recording my own stuff. I did get the Sakai for that reason. I said, I'm going to start recording again. And it has built-in channels with multiple inputs and outputs. So I can plug my guitar right into my Akai. That was my original thought. So, I'll just plug into the Akai. And I got the DP32. I'll be fine. It just never materialized into anything. So now that I got the wing rack, I am going to make goals for myself this year. By the end of this year, I would like to be able to say, I have a DAW, whether I stick with Reaper, because you never have to pay for Reaper. When your 30 days are up, you just click the button, I'm still evaluating. And you can do that forever. There's no difference between the paid version and the other version, to my knowledge. You just say, I'm still evaluating. When you click the button, you get another 30 days. I know they know this, but it never ends. You could just keep clicking that button saying, nope, I'm not ready to purchase. I'm still evaluating it. I'm not sure I'm going to evaluate it some more. You just keep clicking that button and it's free. So I'm sure there's better DAWs out there. So I want to get to the point where I can record to the DAW and start recording music. I would also, as far as YouTube, I would like to get the channel a little more ringed in on what we're doing. If I don't, I like the live stream, and I like doing reviews. So I think that's what the channel just needs to kind of stick with: guitar reviews and basic stuff. Am I going to review the wing rack? No. I have no business reviewing the wing rack because I don't have the knowledge base of the wing rack to see its shortcomings. In any shortcomings that I would find with it, there's a high probability that it's not the wing rack, it would be me and my lack of knowledge using this type of equipment. So for me to sit here and do a review on something like that, that makes absolutely no sense at all. That's why I review guitars, because my personal experience and what I've done my whole life, servicing guitars and being a CAD programmer and a woodworker, it just makes sense that with all my skill sets in life, that I would be good at reviewing guitars, which I truly think we have the best reviews on YouTube. And I love Phil to death, but I truly think my reviews are better than Philip's. And that's personal taste. Someone that's watching Phil's stuff might watch mine and go, this guy's smoking crack. He's sitting here feeling the guitar, checking for chatter marks. He sees this blemish, nothing's perfect, or he's doing this to a $300 guitar. That's fine. I try to review every guitar the same, and then at the end I do say, okay, it's a $300 guitar. If you're acceptable, if you're okay with what I found, fine. That's just my point. I think focus on the live streams, get better at the reviews, get more organized, and get the quality of the channel up. That means I need to get the wing rack working, get the audio right, and get the sound of the instrument. I want to pre-program a clean setting, a crunch setting, a distortion setting, and just a stupid distortion setting. I want 4 different sounds. And I want to use those 4 sounds on every guitar. Like I did when I first started the channel. I always use this rack, the exact same 3 channels. And it give everyone a frame of reference of how that guitar sounds. You got used to watching my reviews. You kind of got, that guitar sounds thinner. This guitar sounded thicker. Now, I'm constantly playing with the EQ and doing this and that. And that's kind of misleading for someone that just comes in, because I may have turned up the bass because the guitar was thin. I'm not saying that it's going to work for every guitar, because every guitar needs a little EQ here or there. But I need to do basic setup for these sounds. That way you guys get a reference. And then during the review, I could say, okay, let's give it a little more bass. But set a baseline. Now I forgot what I was doing. Oh, what I'm doing this year. Better at recording on a DAW, learn a DAW system through the wing rack, get better at the wing rack, get the reviews more stabilized, write some programs for whatever system I plan on using. Okay, it's most likely going to be some type of modeling system because it just works better. Unless I do a recorded review, then we can do the actual amp with mics in the room, because I'm not talking then. Get all that type stuff, and by the end of the year, hopefully have one good camera where our audio and our video, at least on one camera, will be better. It's time. That will put me on YouTube for about 4 years. Yeah, it'd be a little over 4 years at the end of December. And I think being on YouTube that long, I think YouTube expects a channel to progressively get better. Hopefully I can do that. That's the content that I'm good at. That doesn't mean that we won't throw a dart here or there and try something new. I'm all about doing what you guys want to do. And I'd also like to get a little bit better at the chat thing. And that's why I was giving Mad Hatter a compliment earlier because he was hitting at Music and Gear. I see that orange, okay, and it makes my head turn. The chat on my side, unless it's a moderator, it's all white. The moderator comes up, I see blue. But if you put at me, at Music and Gear, and you post it, I see that orange. It comes up and I see it. So that's probably a good way of doing it.
I can't tag anybody like that on my phone.
Oh, Linnell says she can't tag anybody like that on her phone. So that's kind of,
Earlier, Steve said he couldn't do it on his phone either.
yeah. Well, that's no big deal. We got Linnell in the back room. So if you can't do it, continue using the question marks. But if you can do it, then hit the tag button. Just like Searching for Tone did at Kurt. Appreciate it, man. Try to leave the same ethics as Avery, just without the tone. Man, uh, dude, don't. I know. I think it was about 2 or 3 weeks ago. You posted a video, and someone was picking on you about playing guitar. You know what? If I had to have, if I had to be a super guitar player, I would have never bought the Gibson. I bought like a $1,700 Gibson working at a cavern making $2 an hour. And I think I could play 5 songs and I couldn't play lead. I could barely play a bar chord if you want to know the truth. But I bought the guitar because I loved it. And I would sit in my room for hours and play that thing. I didn't care. If I were to let people tell me that, oh, you shouldn't do this because you're no good at it, well, hell, nobody's good at something. It depends on where they are in their progress. I can't think of anyone that picked up the guitar and in 2 years, well, just lit that thing on fire. Wow.
He called me Lieutenant Dan Linnell.
Oh my gosh, you guys are crazy. I'm reading the chat. I heard Linnell laugh, so I had to look over and read it. Everyone in the chat's going to be at a different level. I'll get on YouTube and I'll watch some of these guitar players play, and I sit there and go, wow. So it's not about that. It's about having fun and enjoying what you're doing. I made the comment the other night. That's why I want to start recording and doing things. I don't want YouTube to make it to where music's the one thing I have that I love. And if it ever gets to the point where YouTube is sucking that out of me, I hate to say it, I'll stop YouTube. Because I used to love woodworking. I'm not in love with woodworking anymore. Why? Because I got to go and make money doing it. And sometimes when you got to make money, you let things slide that maybe you shouldn't let slide because you got to get it out the door. The client wants it, or your deadline's coming up, or it's just got to be done. There's been more than one time stuff's left the plant. It's kind of like, I don't want to put my name on that. I get it. That's why, when I do a review, I get it. Could have been a Friday at the factory. Maybe I got a bad one. Because believe me, in my 30-some years of processing stuff at a plant or woodworking, whatever I was doing, there's been some bad rotten apples that have left these hands. Excuse me, I just hit the mic. That have left these hands and out the door that I knew was not up to company stuff. It just wasn't up to the level that it needed to be. And I just crossed my fingers that it wasn't coming back. Maybe it was a payroll thing. Didn't have the money to invest any more time in it. Maybe it was a financial thing. I can't afford to work on this anymore. I've got X projects. I'm going to get back charges. And it was better to eat $1,000 or $2,000 here than take a $5,000 hit over here. So you just swallow it, you send it. I get it. So if someone's giving you crap, because you're doing YouTube and they feel that let them do it. YouTube's a horrible platform. People are awful on YouTube. I watch a couple channels and I go through the videos and I look at some of the comments and I'm like, holy mackerel, this dude's being people are just mean. But I got to give the content creator credit because they can go in there and delete it, but they haven't. You watch a video, it's 2 years old, and you scroll through it, and 20% of the comments are, oh, you suck, and you don't know how to use it, and this or that. And the content creator's like, okay. At some point, I know it gets to you, because I've had comments like that. I've had one or two, and it makes you feel, okay, should I be doing this? And I always look at it and go, yeah, I think I should. And I always qualify when I do the demo section. This is not a demo channel. If you want to watch someone light the fretboard on fire, there's 50,000 other YouTube channels with guitar players that are far faster than me, far more talented than me, that can play that guitar far better than I can. If that's what you want to hear on the guitar review, them shredding it and just saying it's great, there's plenty of that on YouTube. So what I tell people, whether it's YouTube or whether you're at work, find what you're good at and concentrate on that. That's why I do a lot of guitar reviews. I feel that I'm good at it. And I've gotten, for the most part, a decent feedback from my reviews. And, sometimes I'll get, oh my God, it's a 2.5 hour, because we used to do some stupid long reviews. It's a 2.5 hour review and you nitpicked a $200 guitar. My first year on YouTube, that's all I got. I got a ton of those. Oh my God, dude, it's a $200 guitar. Get real. And it's, or it's a $400 guitar, dude. What do you expect? And I just kind of got used to it. And then I started qualifying it. I don't care if it's a $2,000 guitar. I'm reviewing it this way. Whether it's $200 or $2,000, it gets the same review. Why would I cheat the guy that's out there? Maybe he's got, a brand new car because he's commuting back and forth to the city, and he's outside the city and his rent's $2,000 a month for a single bedroom apartment, and he loves music, but by the time he pays his electric bill and the insane amount of rent that he's paying, he just doesn't have it. All he's got's $200. So I want to give him a review just like he's spending $2,000. Because for that dude, that $200 is like $2,000 to somebody else. He's got to scratch and save and pinch pennies to make it happen. And it's like that in the area I'm in. It's expensive to live here. So when I buy an expensive piece of equipment, I'm always scared because I know it's expensive. And sometimes when you buy something new like this, it's new. You don't have enough knowledge base to truly know whether or not your money is well spent or not. And by the time you do figure it out, you can't do a return. So you become dependent on watching YouTube channels and other people that you feel are giving honest reviews that can go through that product and go, this is how it works. This is the shortcomings. These are the pluses and the minuses. And we try to get our head around it and go, do I want to try this product at this price point? And that's what I did with the Wing. I had a choice. I almost went with the little mini Wing console because it is rack mountable, just like it would have just took the place of my Mackie. It would have been this unit with I think it's a 16 channel 8 bus board beneath it. And I thought, you know what? I don't want to reach over like that. I want something that's in a rack, that's in the back, something that I can use a computer and control remotely. So that meant either the wing rack, an Allen and Heath, or the Yamaha TF. And out of the three, the wing rack one is the cheapest of all three. And out of all three, everyone said the wing was the best of the three. And it wasn't even the best bang for the buck. They said it just had more, it does more, and it's the cheapest. But the cheapest was the last number. Everyone said it just did more. It does more than the TF. It does more than the Allen and Heath. It's got more channels than the Allen and Heath. You can do this, and the Allen Heath you can't. And the Allen and Heath is like $5,000. The TF, which doesn't have as many channels, and that's Yamaha, guys. Don't think Yamaha does not make kick butt boards. Yamaha makes some kick butt boards. This guy right here. This is my old streaming console. This is the AG08. I'm sorry, this is a solid unit. And the mic preamps in this, I would turn this thing up to 80% before it got any kind of weird sound. The sliders worked really well. All the buttons functioned well. It wasn't complicated to understand. It's very user-friendly. Great product. Price point, user-friendly, and always worked. It never shut down during any stream. I never had a problem with that unit not starting. No connection issues, failing, cutting off. It was flawless. The only reason I switched was for channels, and I want something to control a DAW, and I want to move forward. That was it. And I really thought Shenandoah Music said, we'll work you a good deal on a TF rack. But even their good deal was going to put it a little over $2,000. And it doesn't have as many channels. It doesn't have the support. Why do you think so many people like the Helix 2 years ago? The Helix community is freaking huge. So if you get into the Helix domain and you have problems, there's all kinds of forums for the Helix architecture. There's all kinds of free things that someone wrote this Marshall and programmed this with these effects and they love the sound. Here's the file. You can have it too. All kinds of free downloads for that because a lot of people use it. It's a great platform. Now look at the Quad Cortex. Again, a huge community of people using it. You can buy into that, and there's all kinds of free stuff. There's forums, people sharing files. So I'm looking at the wing rack versus the Yamaha, looking at the tutorials on YouTube and the amount of information that's out there. More information, more people on the platform, more forums. For someone like me that doesn't know their butt from a hole in the ground when it comes to this type of equipment, I went with the wing. A lot of forum help. And I haven't even gotten on the forums yet. I'm sure, we're going to get snowed in pretty sure. Probably Monday, after I'm done shoveling snow, I might do some trolling around on some of these Behringer forums and just start looking at all the threads that are out there on people that had issues or posting technical stuff. There's just so much out there. Again, it's almost like option paralysis. There's so much information. You got to weed through it all to try to figure out, well, where can I find what I'm looking for? So that's why I went that way. But that's this year's goal. It is the new year. See, again, guys, I saw that orange and my head turned. Have you tried out the Solar Chug pedal? I have not. I did order some pedals, and I think we did 2 reviews on pedals. Hold on, guys. Let me grab something real quick. I went out and I bought some Joyo stuff, and I was talking to Joyo, and the issue that I had with Joyo, again, because I don't want to be bought, and I had a lot of email correspondence with Joyo, and I get their point. They wanted to send me some of their cheaper products, see how well I guess I did, and then they would send better. And I really had no interest in reviewing a $25 Joyo wireless or that little tiny mini amp or some of the other niche products that they were doing. And I said, look, I'm interested in reviewing this pedal, or your little MIDI heads. And he said, well, none of that stuff's on promotion right now. And we went back and forth over 2 months. They said they'd reach back out to me. I haven't heard anything from Joyo, so I kind of dropped it. But I had already ordered a bunch of Joyo pedals, and it was so funny. I told the guy, I said, dude, I just ordered like 8 of your pedals, for doing reviews. You guys want to send me some more? I'll do a Joyo pedal thing for you guys. And it was all about promotion, what they had on promotion, what they had on promotion. Going back to what I was saying, I didn't stick with the pedal thing because I just don't think pedals are viable anymore. I know there's Two Cats on YouTube, that pedal show, and I get people like pedals. I just, I can't see it because when you build a pedal board, you got all these patch cords. You've got to buy a power supply for it, and a good pedal costs money. You start buying Strymon pedals, you're gonna pay $350, $400 for a nice Strymon reverb. You put a King of Tone distortion pedal on there, what's a 2-channel, a reverb pedal, a delay pedal, a compressor, a volume pedal. Now you buy your transformer. You've got $1,500, $1,600 in your floor stomps. I'm sorry, if you've got that much money in it and you don't buy a Helix rack mount or a Helix stomp or a Nano Cortex or something like that, in my little squirrel brain, I think you're smoking crack. Because it's one plug. You plug it in, you plug your guitar in. There's no patch cables, there's no nothing. It's simple. It's simple. I get, well, I want to change reverbs. Well, you can do that with a Helix. You can do that with the Fractal. There's 50,000 different reverbs in there. If you want to be practical, it's less money and it's easier to move around than this big stomp thing. So I didn't stick with doing the pedal thing because it adds up. Even doing the Joyo stuff. By the time you spend about $35 to $65 per pedal, and you build a pedal board, it just didn't make sense. Because you could buy a Katana or a Catalyst or something like that, a nice amplifier that had all that stuff already built into it for less money. Because you were going to buy the pedals, you still needed an amplifier. I get it. You want to buy a boost pedal. You got a small amp like my Ignator. You want to buy a boost pedal? I kind of get that. It's got good reverb. If that's all you're doing, maybe you want a small delay pedal on the back. That's how I ran this amp over here before it exploded. It's a Blackstar. Blackstars like to explode. It's like Michigan, exploding trees. Well, this isn't Michigan. This is Blackstar. These are called exploding amplifiers. Just my opinion. Just saying. I would come out of the effects loop to a little NUX delay pedal. It had built-in reverb. and I would put a boost pedal in front of it. That amp sounded awesome. It was a good sounding amp. I loved the way that amp sounded. But it only lasted 14 months and then went, you know, I'm sorry, I paid $900 for that amplifier and it worked for 14 months. That's insane. $900 amplifier. I spent, it was $100 for the little NuX pedal and $130 for the Ibanez TS9. So you're at $1,200. Okay, for $1,200, I can buy a Headrush floor unit and get me a powered PA speaker. There's my amplifier. I'm just saying. You could do far more with it. Is it tube? No. But if I was doing tube, I would do a lesser amp, just a regular tube amp. I wouldn't do Blackstar, maybe someone else, and I'd get maybe a VP4 or something like that, a Stomp, the little HX Stomp, just for my effects right into the unit on the effects loop. Even at that rate nowadays, I find it really hard to swallow the pedal thing. I really do. We were just talking about if you had to make a choice, people talk about these new modelers being so good. I guarantee you, if I took the new Stadium, okay, and I plugged it in and I get the wing rack working and it's not popping and snapping and cracking, if I loaded, let's say, an 80s type sound on a Stadium or a modern sound, you guys listen to it, and I took a 2120 Artisan Digitech from 25 years ago, and I plugged it into my little NuX pulse pedal with an IR, and then went to my interface, you guys would be hard pressed to tell that Digitech unit that was made 25 years ago with an IR behind it versus a new Stadium or a Quad Cortex. The only difference in the two is back then they didn't have IRs. You had to have, a cabinet and an amplifier. These new ones, all that's kind of built in. You just need to power it, headphones and stuff. I guarantee you I could take an Artisan Edition Purple Monster Digitech for $400, put a Pulse IR behind it, a NuX Pulse behind it, and a full range loudspeaker, and I guarantee you that amp combination would compete with 80% of the stuff on the market under $1,800. It would hang right in there with it. It would hang in there with it. How much better has it gotten? Well, 24-bit come out, actually the 2120 or 2121, whatever that Artisan, the Purple Monster is, it's 24-bit. How much difference is there going to 36-bit? Most of this new stuff, it's not much further than that. It really isn't. If you get into your really deep, lush reverbs, maybe there's a little bit of a difference. Is it worth the extra money? I can buy the Purple Monster. Like I said, there's a nice one on Reverb right now for $400. $100 IR pedal behind it, and spend $350 on a 400 or 500 watt PA speaker, and I got one hell of an amplifier. I mean, that would be one hell of an amplifier. I could play that amplifier anywhere. Now, it's directional because it's one cabinet, but that would play. It would sound awesome. I told Linnell the other day, I'm thinking about trying to find another good one. I didn't buy that one, and I might be kicking myself in the butt because I've been looking for an Artisan Edition Digitech for a long time, and that one come up for sale for $400. I'm probably going to regret not buying it, but I had to stick to my guns. It was either buy the Digitech or put that $400 towards my down payment on the wing. I already have a nice processor back here with tubes. And that's another thing. The Digitech is tubes. So it uses two 12AX7s. So you've got a tube preamplifier and a solid state preamplifier going into a cabinet R to that. So you can say it's a hybrid system. It's tube. You're going to get that tube warmth, and you're going to get all your digital processing. I still think it would make somebody a really nice amp. If I have some free money this year, we'll definitely buy something similar to that and put a modern IR behind it and see how much difference this new stuff is in relation to the old stuff, just putting a little newer technology on the back end. I think you might be surprised how good that stuff would work. It's not gonna be a long stream. I saw that comment. Yeah, guys, I just wanted to get on. This is my Thursday, and I told Linnell I wasn't feeling too good, and I couldn't get the drivers working. Hopefully, when I go back and I listen to the stream, hopefully it isn't popping and cracking too awful bad. I know you guys are the die-hard guys because you guys are putting up with the bad audio, and I want to say I apologize for that. I'm going to try to work it out. Steve's going to give me a hand. Kurt's throwing his 2 cents in too, and I think they're both right on. It's not going to be easy. I'm sure once we figure it out, we'll be like, oh, told you. Someone's going to say, told you that's what it was. Because everyone's thrown out a bunch of ideas. We just got to melodically go through each thing. First thing that are free. And as we eliminate all the free things, then we'll maybe spend a little bit of money maybe it's an upgrade issue that I need to do something. And then just baby steps. If worst comes to worst, it's here. I can start building my new stream system. If it comes down to my computer, and we can go back to the AG08 as I continue to update. If it is a computer problem, my computer's not handling it, we can still go back to the old system, and I can continue to build the new system. But like I said, by the end of the year, I want the wing working with a better camera and better reviews, just a better overall channel experience. And any help from you guys on the direction that I need to go, that's what I need. All right, guys, I am going to call it a night. I want to thank everyone for coming in. Since this is a scheduled stream, we are doing our 5-minute in stream. Again, thanks, guys. Without you guys, it wouldn't be possible. You guys make it. You guys make the stream. That is the stream. It's you guys talking and chatting and being in the community. All right, Saturday night, hopefully there'll be a change. Hopefully I can get it figured out and it's something a little better. If not, then we'll continue to work out and eventually we'll get it. Just keep in mind, it's just like last year when we started. Anything, hon? Now, usually when she walks out, that means there's something going on. All right, guys, thanks so much. Oh, I see a Trucker Bob. That must be his first comment.
No.
It is? No? Oh, sorry, Trucker Bob. I just saw your first comment. If I didn't mention you in the stream, I just didn't see your chat. Any comment that went to me and I missed, Linnell missed too, or I missed, or whatever. I want to get better at that. Going over what you guys are talking about. I need to get better at that. That's another thing that I want to do this year, get better at that. All right, guys, thanks a lot, and I'll see everyone on Saturday. And anyone that's helping me with the wing, I should be home about 4:30 Eastern Standard Time, 5 o'clock by the time I get my coffee in me. And if you can put up with me and doing all the little dumb test streams and loading drivers and checking stuff, then we're on for a date for tomorrow night. All right, guys, I'm going to hit the 5-minute closing window, and I'll see everyone Saturday night. Which one is that?